Christmas. That's what I want to know. Holy cow. Unbelievable. Tim. All right, good morning, everybody. Glad to be back home this week. Really proud of our team, how we played last week. I thought, as I've said a couple times, our best game for sure. You guys were incredibly focused and locked in on what we needed to do to play our best game. And I thought all three phases did just that. So good momentum coming out of that game, and that's what our goal is this week, to try to build momentum and add momentum to what we just were able to accomplish down in Atlanta. Again, we're glad we're going to be at home. We've got a huge challenge. As I just said, it's two undefeated teams, division games, and division games are, all the conference games are huge. Division games, when you win one of them, it's like +2 because you get the tiebreaker on them as well. So just a huge game for both teams. They're coming in here incredibly confident. They beat us last year, and so they know they can beat us, and we know they can beat us. So, it's going to take a much better performance by us to have a chance to beat these guys. They do a great job. This will be one of the better offenses that we will see all year. This quarterback is a baller, man. He's a good football player. We did not contain him very well last year at all. They played lightning fast, and a million screens and pop passes and the zone, the counter, and the power mixed into it. A lot of quarterback run, all the RPOs and then shots down the field. And we gave up 2 bust touchdowns last year. Just didn't work, just didn't line up right. So we got to make sure that we line up right and we execute the plan. And then you have to do an unbelievable job of maintaining great integrity in your rush lanes. We did not contain him well last year in the defensive line at all, consistently enough. So a big challenge for our guys to do a better job than what we did last year as far as how we squeeze the pocket and how we contain him from the outside in and not let him escape when we do have good coverage. So just a lot of room for improvement, but this is a good team, man. They got that big number 17 out on the edge. He's a big long receiver who can get down the field, and they like the 50-50 balls and all that stuff. But again, if you think of a way to throw a screen, they got it. So they make you run, and they try to get the ball snapped fast, get you out of position. We're going to need our depth in this game for sure. Try to make sure we stay fresh for 4 quarters to get after these guys. But they got good running back, offensive line. They got several guys back. 4 of the 5 starters from last year are back. So a really good group. But it all starts with this quarterback. He's a good football player. He really is. He's a guy that'll have a chance to play after Syracuse for sure. And then flip side defensively, they got 8 or 9 starters back. They've got a lot of experience. They're good up front. They're active, they're doing a really good job in the secondary. Their one safety, I think he leads the conference. He's got 4 picks right now. But smart, know what they're doing. They challenge you. A lot of single safety. They'll mix up some of the 2 safety stuff, but they challenge you and try to stop the run. They've done a good job of that so far. Big challenge for us. Number 10, their returner is a dangerous returner, guy that we're going to have to do a good job of accounting for in our kicking game. But we're excited about it, and again, really proud of our team, where we are right now, the mindset of our team, and the focus that I've seen, and especially last night, the energy that we had on our practice field in getting ready for our first division matchup.
Coach, obviously Trevor will be running out there first.
Yep.
I know there are a couple days of practice left, but can we expect that both quarterbacks will play kind of like what you've been doing the first 4 games?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, Kelly's done nothing wrong. I mean, he's played well, but it's really no different than our scrimmages and our practices all fall camp. Some scrimmages, Trevor ran out first. Some series, Trevor ran out first. Some Kelly ran out first, and those guys just played. And that was one thing I was really proud of Kelly about all fall camp, is he just focused on him and playing well when he was in there, whether he was with the ones, whether he was with the twos, whether he subbed him in a series, it didn't matter. And he came out a little ahead after camp. And so that's where we were. But competition went onto the field. We've played 4 games now, and you know, it's a difficult thing, man. You know, it's a tough day, but it's just where we are. I've told y'all that many times. You know, if we saw a change, if there was a change, we'd probably all know it. And that's what happened Saturday. And Kelly didn't do anything wrong. He played well, but Trevor just exceeded. I mean, he's really, after 4 games, productivity and just the sheer data. He deserves to run out there first, you know, this game. You know, again, just like we changed it up all fall camp. But that doesn't mean Kelly, you know, doesn't deserve to play. Man, we trust Kelly. We believe in Kelly. Kelly's a great football player. He's the MVP of the ACC championship. This guy started, 18 games or whatever. He's a good football player, and he's already helped us win, and he'll continue to help us win. You know, but that's where we are this week. But we're very fortunate to have 2 guys that can play, you know, because one of them's going to be hot. The chances of them both being cold is probably not real good. So we like where we are, and again, it's really not anything that's not natural, because that's the way it's been, you know, all camp. And so I'm excited for Trevor. I think he's earned it, and you know, that's really it. But we're definitely going to continue to get number 2 in there, and I know he'll continue to play well.
Every opponent has kind of a different way they stress you. What thing about Syracuse caused you to, quote, lose the most sleep at night as far as what they do schematically or personnel-wise or something?
Yeah, I mean, just, you know, offensively. I mean, they're kind of like you played the triple option last week. Well, they're like the complete polar opposite. I mean, you just couldn't have more different philosophies, styles of play, etc. And that's what you're playing back-to-back weeks. And you know, but their tempo, this quarterback, some of the skilled guys that they have, they schematically just how they formation you, and you know, just force you to run. You know, they just force you to run. So that's why I said our depth is going to have to come up for us. We're going to have to do a great job on the perimeter in defeating, you know, one-on-one blocks and negating some of their screen game, which makes them go. If you take that stuff away, you got a much better chance. And then you know, I think they're good up front. I mean, we've got. I thought they knocked us back last year. So you know, that's a challenge too. But our job is to get them ready. And we will.
Coach, have you seen anything on tape that has caused Trevor to maybe be more productive, or has it simply just been an execution thing week by week?
Yeah, just execution. I mean, he's just made some unbelievable plays. I don't have it in front of me, but he's like, I don't know, he's got a bunch of touchdown drives, a bunch, you know. So he's just been very, very productive. And again, Kelly's been very productive. Kelly's not done anything. This is not a situation where a guy's played bad, and all of a sudden you're like, this isn't that case. Both these guys have played really well, so this is just rewarding the performance that we've seen, and just the productivity that we've seen.
What was that conversation with Kelly like when you told him?
It's a bad day to be the head coach. You know, it's a bad day to be the head coach. Most days it's good. It's a bad day, you know, because I love Kelly. This is one of the, you know, it's emotional for him. Tough day. I mean, I gave him the day off last night. It was a rough afternoon. We don't get him here till 4 o'clock. And, you know, I met with him yesterday afternoon, and you know, just Streeter had already met with him on Sunday and talked through it, and I texted with him and said, hey, let's sit down, you know, Monday. And so we met yesterday afternoon. It was emotional. It was tough. It's tough because he's played well, and there's not a guy that's ever been here. As long as I've been at Clemson, there's not a guy that's more committed to this program than Kelly Bryant. And there's not a better leader. This guy is he's the epitome of what you want. He's what you want your son to be like. You know, I mean, I love him like a son, and so it is a very difficult conversation, and he's very disappointed. But you know, I don't have any doubt that he'll show up and go back to work and respond. You know, so but it was tough. I mean, listen, I'm glad God ain't a coach. I can tell you that. I can tell you I'm glad, because as a coach you have to be critical. You know, you've got to rank people. It's hard, man. And I'm thankful that God ain't that way. You know, with God, he's everybody's first team. You know, there is no first team, second team, third team. You know, we're all 5 stars with God. You know, we all got an eternal contract with warranty. You know, we're under warranty. So I'm glad God ain't a football coach. I know that, and that's not a good. I hate being in that situation, but that's my job. You know, my job is to critique, judge, evaluate, hold people accountable, be fair, and do what's right. And you know, so it doesn't make it easier, but where we are, what we're doing this weekend is what's right. It's just what's right, and we'll see where we go from there. So it's tough. It's hard. You know, it really is. I mean, it's tough. You know, I always tell people, you know, it doesn't always go our way, and you know, you just got to respond. And when we have adversity in our life, or it doesn't go our way, you know, it can destroy you, it can define you, or develop you. And my hope is that this will continue to develop Kelly into being the player that he is, being even a better version of himself, and just continuing to grind and be who he's been. So it's a hard conversation when you have to do that as a coach. It's not something that I enjoy or anything like that, but again, it's my job. It's my job.
I know that you feel like you can run your whole playbook with both guys, but how much more diverse does Trevor make your offense with the vertical passing?
Yeah, well, I mean, there's no question he has just elite ability to push the ball down the field. I mean, that's pretty obvious to see. But Kelly's also demonstrated that he can do everything that we need him to do in that regard. He's demonstrated that this year. But you know, just because a guy's got a stronger arm, that don't mean that you can't run the same offense. But that's not accurate. Kelly, if he shown he couldn't do it, that'd be different. But Kelly has worked his tail off, and he can do everything that we need him to do. We don't have to change the offense for either one of these guys. You know, a lot of people think, you know, Trevor can't run. Trevor can run, and the more he plays, the more you'll see that.
Dabo, was there any, did it enter the thought process or the conversation at all that barring an injury, Kelly could sit the rest of the year and transfer and still have a full year left? Did that come up at all?
We talked about a lot of things. You know, I'm not going to get into details of our conversation, but we talked about a lot of things. Like I said, it was emotional, and there are a lot of things that we did talk about. And you know what? If I was worried about that, or I was deceitful in some way or something like that, you know, I could have huddled the coaches up and said, hey, let's make sure we start him for Syracuse, and you know, that way he's got no option. You know, that's not how I operate. I don't think like that. I don't operate that way. I mean, I'm just trying to do what's right, and I'm not going to ever apologize for that. But we talked about lots of things. It was a deep, long, emotional conversation, and you know, something that we needed to talk through and go from there. But yeah, certainly if he walked in here today and said, hey, Coach, I don't want to play the rest of the year unless you got to have me, well, okay. that's what you want to do. I mean, you know, I'm all for it. I love Kelly, and I would be disappointed in that because we need him, but you know, I wouldn't judge him on that.
Did he convey to you that he might be interested in that?
No. We just talked. I talked a lot about a lot of things, but you know, again, he's. I don't have any doubt he'll be right here and be ready to go and get back on the horse and ride.
What was the mood of the team when you told them?
I didn't really have an opportunity to get in front of the team, you know, because we had some press stuff going on, and Tony had to meet, and I didn't want to put Tony in a bad situation, so that's why I put out, you know, so I just wanted to make sure that we had the opportunity to talk to Kelly, and so that's why I put out just a statement that Trevor's going to start against Syracuse, and you know, so that's where we were. And then I didn't really get a chance to get with the team until yesterday. We don't get together till 4. And I met with the whole senior group at 3:45 and talked about it with them. And you know, the guys understand. I mean, it's no different than any other position. I mean, we got a lot of seniors that are backups. You know, we got juniors that are backups. I mean, it's competitive at every single position, and every single week, you know, you got to earn it. And just so happens this year, it's a very, very, very competitive situation at quarterback. And but it's a good competition, and it's not like we got guys who can't win. You know, it's kind of like when we had Shaq and Vic Beasley at DN. They were both very different, but both very good, and we played them both. You know. It's like when we had all them D tackles. That's what Dan Brooks did. I didn't ever know. I told you, I never know who was running out there first at D tackle, because he'd hold them accountable to the last pregame meal. You know, and then he'd say, "All right, you're running out there today." You know, because he wanted every second to count, because that's how competitive it was. So we have that at a lot of positions, and our guys understand competition. It's no different at quarterback. It's just more interesting and more public than what's going on at nose guard, or at tight end, or at wide out, or at safety, or whatever else, kicker. It doesn't matter. You know, everybody just wants to talk about the quarterback.
Coach,
But I get it.
Going into Saturday, when you think of last year, is the idea of revenge just as a competitor one that motivates you?
No, I mean, the idea of, you know, bad memory and a bad taste in my mouth is certainly a motivating factor, but I mean, we're not out to get revenge. I mean, they won a football game, they outplayed us, they outcoached us, they beat us. This is a new season, you know. But I will say this, when you look back on that last year, you know, for me, I always judge it as you know, bad things happen. Again, how you respond. I mean, you let something define you, destroy you, or develop you. Well, what did our team do last year? We didn't lose another game until the Sugar Bowl against the national champion. We didn't lose another game. I think they lost 5 straight. So, you know, whether it's something great or something bad, you know, I mean, okay, you got to move on. You can't live and go, oh man, I can't wait to get my revenge 364 days from now, or whatever it is. I think, who said, God, it was one of them basketball guys yesterday. I can't remember. Didn't the NBA just open up?
The media day was yesterday.
Okay, I saw it. I don't remember which one it was, but one of the basketball guys, he was awesome. He said, man, if you're just sitting around looking at the future, you're going to trip up on the present. I love that. I love that, man. And so, no, I'm not looking ahead. I don't think about it. I'm just trying to be great in the moment, in the present. And we want to win this game. Not because we lost last year, not to get revenge. We want to win this game because it's a division game, and we want to win the division, and we want to be the best version of the 2018 team. And they're in our way. We don't want to win it because they beat us last year. Yeah, it'd be nice, but and you don't forget, but that's not the motivating factor. That's the motivating factor that we're be a program like this.
Dabo, when you're trying to prepare for that kind of tempo,
probably fair. Yeah, I think that's probably fair, because, you know, but I've always been a rep guy in practice more than time. You know, a lot of times we get our reps and there's still time on the clock and I blow it. You know, I've always been more in tune to that. But it's hard to prepare for because of how you have to practice. Now, fortunately, we're a tempo team. I don't know what they are. They're a lightning team. We're a up tempo team, no huddle. And there's a lot of times they ain't even set and the ball's being snapped. It's unbelievable. But they're just really, really fast. So to simulate that, you know, it takes you got to practice a certain way. Our scout team has to do an unbelievable job to kind of get our guys ready. But yeah, you got to be smart. And we're fortunate that we're one of those teams that has some depth. You know, teams that don't have much depth, you know, they may have a bunch of negative plays, but then all of a sudden it's 50, you know, 0, 1, 1, 2, 15, you know, and then next thing you know, you look up and like, dadgum, they run 90 plays. So our depth will have to come through for us in this ball game. And our crowd, and the noise that we create here at Death Valley, I think is a factor too, because you still got to communicate, and hopefully our noise will help us a little bit, maybe slow them down a little bit from a communication standpoint.
There's a bunch of folks on the quarterback battle, but there any other positions that are kind of week to week, you're not really sure who's going to start until leading up to the game? Are there any of those positions?
Yeah. I mean, we've all seen it at guard. I mean, we've had a nice little battle with Cade Stewart and Pollard. That's been a great battle, and both those guys are playing. It's made us better because you know their antennas are up every day, and you know Cade he's kind of him and Gage, same thing. Him and Gage are kind of our 6th and 7th man, if you will, and really proud of those guys. So we've got a lot of competition there. We've got competition at linebacker. We got competition at wideout. And obviously at quarterback there, we got, I think Feaster's made a move, and you know he's a guy that's showing that, hey, you know, don't forget about me. I'm pretty good. Make some plays here. So we've got good, healthy competition going on, and again, you know, some of these positions, it's pretty close, and you know you're going to play multiple guys, and so yeah, it might be this guy had a bad game, this guy played better. Well, hey, he goes up for the week. But I think for the most part, I think Nolan Turner is a guy that's really a guy that's competing for more. Really encouraged by what we've seen with him.
Sounds
Not
like
to oversimplify it, but with all the positions, the quarterback jumps out at you. I mean, does it come down to just asking the question, who can we win the national title? When it comes to a quarterback decision, who can we win that biggest prize because you're at where you are right now?
Our goal is not to win the national title. I know everybody, that's everybody else's goal. Our goal is to win the division. Our goal is to beat Syracuse, and you know that's never been a goal. That's a byproduct of what can happen if you take care of your goals that we have. And you know, so I will say this: we can win the national championship. You know, if the good Lord blessed us and we stayed healthy and everything went, just these two quarterbacks we got are good enough to beat anybody on any given day. And everybody wants to put last year's Sugar Bowl on Kelly Bryant, and they don't have a clue what they're watching. They have no idea. They don't understand what happened in the game, the flow of the game, the circumstances of the game. They have no clue. It's just like, oh, Kelly Bryant. And that is such a bad narrative. And it is so far from reality, it's not even funny. It really isn't. And so now it's, well, Kelly can't win the national. Give me a break. That kid can beat anybody any given day. No doubt about it.
Sounds like from what your coordinators have said, Dabo, what you've said, that with Feaster coming through the knee procedure and then Travis's ascension and being dropped in the depth chart, you guys are really completely pleased with the way he's kind of navigated those rough waters.
He's responded, and I mean he's a very talented player. We all know that, but his sense of urgency is the best it's ever been, and just see a little hunger in him. I really, really like what I'm seeing out of Feaster. And we need that, you know, and that's kind of been my thing coming into this season. I really felt like our backs would be as good as we've had. And I think they have been. I think we're in a really good situation at running back. And they're complementing each other well. We've got a good rotation. These guys, they take care of each other. We still got to get Linjay, you know, a little bit more, close the gap a little bit from a dependability standpoint and a discipline standpoint on what he's supposed to do. But he's as talented as any of them. But he's just not as complete a player right now.
Dabo, we were told that both quarterbacks will be off limits this week to interviews.
Yep.
After the game. What's the reasoning there?
Just give them a break. I mean, these are kids, and you know, I knew it was going to be an emotional couple days, and it's just one less thing they got to deal with this week. They've been available every week. We make our guy, y'all. Some of y'all need to go work somewhere else. Y'all realize real quick the grass ain't greener. We probably make our players more available. I'm accessible, and I let you guys talk to my coordinators. You know, it's not that way everywhere. You know, and so that's just my right, and I wanted to protect those two guys. They can handle themselves just fine, but it's just one less thing that they have to deal with. You know, so they'll be available after the game, and we'll move on. But y'all have all been young people. I mean, we've all been young people in our lives, and sometimes when you're disappointed, you know, it takes you a little while to kind of, you know, get your breath and realize that this isn't the worst thing that's going to happen in your life, and you know what, let's move forward. And so I just felt like it was best for both of those guys to not have to deal with all the drama that would come. And for y'all doing your job, I mean, that's just your job, and it's what y'all are supposed to do. But I just felt like it was the right thing to just take that off, not burden them with that too. And let's move forward and give them a couple days to move on, and we'll go from there.
Coach, I know you touched on Skowski the other night. Just to clarify, and you lost Kendall Joseph, so you brought Skowski in the first half. Would you like to be able to save those 3 more games that he's got with the redshirt rule for later in the season?
Yeah, I would like to, but you know, we got to do whatever we got to do to win the game we're playing, and so again, we reserve that right week in and week out. But we felt like last week we were going to need him, and we felt like it was an easy game for him to get ready to play in, and so that's why we did that. So we ideally, yes, our whole objective is to try to get a year back for him. We think he's an elite football player, and we really want to get a year back, and he'd like to do that. But you know, at the end of the day, we got to do what's best for the team. So it could change. Hopefully, it works out the way we all want it to. But it's really kind of a week-to-week basis.
Can you get some insight into how hard it is to get calls in and to get set, not just against their tempo, but when they show tempo, stop, and then you're adjusting, and then they snap the ball, you're going to a different ball.
Yeah. Well, we're a no-huddle defense, first of all. So we never huddle on defense. So that makes it easier for us. And our calls are easy. We don't have, you know, red left slot, sprint right, you know, option, Z curl, you know, funky Cole Medina. We don't have that. You know, I mean, we don't have calls like that. I don't know where they go. It was a great song. Is that Tone Low?
Yes.
Tone Low. Anyway. We don't have calls like that, so it's not like, you know, we're all huddled up and oh crap, you know, we're no huddle all the time, and we have easy calls that we signal, and so the biggest thing is we have to do a great job of giving them the call, and the whole purpose of that is to try to make you simplify and not be able to be as elaborate as you'd like to be, not be able to disguise as much, not be able to sub like you'd like to. That's really the whole purpose of that. And so you just got to get the call in. Make sure you got a kind of a catch-all call, because they may come out with something crazy. You got to have some base rules. But again, we're no huddle and up tempo defense, so we know what we got to do. But we've got to make sure that we give it to them, and then they'll hurry up, and then they look over. And then the other thing they do a great job is they do a great job with their hard count. You know, there was a situation in the game last year. I mean, it's 3rd and 15. They're hurrying up, boom, hard count, we jump offside. 3rd and 10, they end up getting it, and wouldn't have got it. So you just have to be very disciplined, and you got to key the ball and get lined up, key the ball, because when the ball snaps, that's when the game is played. You can't get distracted by all the stuff they're trying to create distractions with. So it's a challenge for sure, but we play them. I mean, how long has Dino been there? Is this his 3rd year? So this is 3rd year. I mean, so we're figuring it out.
Playing Syracuse every year, how have you seen them evolve from 2016 to now?
One more time.
Playing Syracuse for 3 years in a row, how have you seen them evolve from 2016?
Oh man, well they're 4-0. They're 4-0, and they're undefeated in this division. So I'd say that Dino's done a great job of trying to build a good culture. I think he's recruited some guys in there, especially in the trenches, that are giving them more of a chance to compete and be more consistent. I mean, I can't imagine that when it's all said and done that this isn't going to be their best team in their best year since he's been there. I don't remember what he did his first year. What did they do their first year? I don't know. They won 4 games. Well, he gonna beat that. That's it. Last year they win maybe 3 or 4. This will be their best team. I think it's his best team. So I think he's been built into this. Really like Dino. I think he's a heck of a coach. He's a great energy guy. I think his team responds to his personality, and he's got a good coaching staff. But I think he knows the fit at Syracuse, and he's got some good pieces in there. And they have an identity. You know, I think you got to have an identity too. I think they know who they are, and they recruit to that and stay true to that. And I think that this is the best team we've seen in his 3 years.
You alluded to it a little bit with the Skowski answer, but how is your team health-wise, and do you think you'll get Kendall back this week?
Yeah, I do. He's back in practice today. He practiced last night, and he's a full go today too. So hopefully we won't have any setbacks or anything like that. Trey, same thing. He was a little banged up, but he's back in there as well. So we're in a good spot, team-wise. But as y'all know, crazy things can happen. I mean, I don't know till Thursday that I don't have Kendall Joseph. I'm like, holy cow! So anything can happen when you're going out there and you're in pads on Tuesdays and Wednesdays, and you don't even have to be in pads. Somebody can pull something, but we're in a really good spot right now. The biggest issue I have right now is Noah DeHaan. Noah has been out a little while, and he's had a little nerve thing, and they've done a couple nerve blocks, and it hasn't helped. So he's probably going to be done for the season because we're probably going to have to do a surgery on him, so that's probably our biggest issue, because he was a guy we were hopeful that could really take a good step forward. He's just a redshirt freshman. He's got a lot of football down the road, but hopefully, and I guess with the new rule, he might could even get this year back. If you've been redshirted and then you lose a year due to injury, I think he could even get it back. So he's a guy that hopefully he's got a whole lot of football in front of him, but was a guy that I was kind of looking forward to getting some experience this year. He's a mountain of a man, but we got to get him healthy. Ben Batson, hopefully will be back. He's had a broken finger for like 4 weeks, so hopefully we'll get him back here, throwing a little bit more this week, and get him going here pretty soon. And Will Brown is a receiver we've had that literally tore his hamstring like the 3rd day of camp and has been out the whole time. And so we're in pretty good shape as a team, and hopefully stay that way.
Spiders being pushed off.
first.
What was the conversation with Trevor in terms of, was it just like you're the guy, or was there some expectation?
Hey, we're gonna start this week. Okay, coach. Hey, man. Good luck. Proud of you. You earned it. You're good. Okay, coach. Hey, man. Love up on Kelly. That's it. I mean, it's very simple. He's not a long, drawn-out conversation guy. But what was you asking?
You were talking about competitions. I was wondering if Spires is being pushed.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Man, that's been a great battle. We weren't able to take Carson this week because we were hamstrung by our 72, and we had about 80 that we really wanted to take. But 72's with our roster this year, 72 is tight. We're leaving some good football players at home, and I mean we didn't even have Kendall or Jordan Williams, who's back by the way. So we're excited to get him back going. But so we Potter was our next punter, and Renfro can punt. That's one of the things people don't know it. That's one of the things that's going to help him at the next level. He can punt. Renfro can. He is able. If he just did punting, he could do it. So that'll be one of the things that when the scouts see him, they're going to be like, holy cow, he's a unique kid, man. But so that was kind of how we handled that last week. But yeah, it's been good competition. It was great competition in camp. And then we kind of got into the game weeks, and sometimes y'all see games, but everything, we track everything in practice, and we'll kind of separate it a little bit in practice, and he still has, he's done fine, but there's still a lot more tank in there, in the tank for Will. Had a good week last week. They had 1 return yard. It's a big challenge this week because this kid's really good, but Carson is not going away. He's at some point we want to get him some opportunity. We've had a couple games where we wanted to get him in there, but we didn't really have to punt. We punted one time, one game. So hopefully he'll get some opportunity on the field as well as we go.
You're talking about identity, and every program has an identity. When you took over as head coach in 2009, and you went about establishing that, was that a subconscious process, or was that a conscious choice? Okay, I want to do this kind of offense, this kind of defense, this kind of team, and both personnel and schematics and all that stuff.
Subconscious. Does that mean I'm not really thinking it, but I'm thinking it? I'm not real sure. It was very much conscious. I may have seemed subconscious at times, but I was very conscious. My wife says I'm subconscious sometimes. I think I was conscious. I got a few moments I'd like to forget, unfortunately, but I was conscious.
You talked about streamlining communication on defense. Does that mean that you change your substitution patterns a little bit to make sure that the guys who are maybe the best or more experienced at getting calls and disseminating information, checks, and that sort of thing, do you have to play those guys more snaps, or do you still delegate that responsibility whoever's in the game?
Yeah, well, the coaches kind of handle that. I mean, there's times that I sub. I mean, I sub both sides. I'll sub offense. I'll sub defense. There's certain guys I want to, I'll sub special teams. But for the most part, the coaches manage that. But you have to, guys are going to have to play more snaps depending on how they sub. Now, when they sub, then we have the opportunity to sub, and we have to take advantage of those opportunities when we feel like it's needed. And then other times you got to pick your spots. Maybe it's a play, the change or movement, and you got a chance to get a guy in there. So they're not a bunch of multiple personnel. They're pretty much 11 personnel, 10 personnel, a little bit of 12. But those are predictable situations. They're not going to spend a lot of time with first down and 12 personnel against us. That's not how they're going to play. That's not who they are. So you have a pretty good base going in of, hey, these are the personnel groupings. These are main 2. And then you get situations, maybe it's 3rd and longs, where they probably going to sub, so you have an opportunity to sub. But we're going to have to do a great job matching them for sure.
Now, can you explain what Amari Rogers brings to the table that makes him so successful in the return game this year?
He's just tough, and he's committed. He's a grinder. He's one of the hardest workers we have on this team. He's incredibly committed to being great. He's got unbelievable practice habits. He's very cerebral, smart football player, and he's big and strong and fast. And he's just got he's a unique body type. He's hard to handle, man. He's explosive, very hard to press because he's so explosive and he's so strong. He's 215 pounds of gristle. I mean, he can motor. So he's had a really good 4 games for us, and I think he's got a bright future in this offense and beyond. Man, he's a dynamic player. You'll see more from him as he continues to grow and mature.
Anybody else? All right, thanks, guys.
All right, thank y'all.
Thanks, Dabo.